Hey everyone, welcome back to Helping Make Sense. I wanted to go over today some ideas and strategies around saving money on a tight budget without going into debt. You may feel like you're barely keeping your head above water, expenses are piling up, you have no money left at the end of the month. Please know that you are not alone. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks here in this video to help you try to start to get ahead so that you're not worrying about having money left at the end of every month. Even when your money is tight, you can save. You just have to be deliberate about it. These types of things and these successes that you can find won't just fall into your lap, right? They won't be random. So with that being said, let's talk about a couple strategies. The first thing I want to touch on is that there's two components to saving money on a tight budget. One of them is discipline, and the other is simply math. It takes discipline to ensure that you're not spending on things that you don't need, especially when you have other goals in mind, whether it's buying a car, saving for college, getting out of debt, and so on. And it will require a little bit of homework. This is where the math comes in to really iron out, okay, how much do you need to save and by when? And then you figure out the calculations from there. This same approach can be applied to different types of short-term goals, such as buying a new car, saving for a home down payment, any other savings goal that you have that will require a cash payment in addition to your 3 to 6 month emergency fund. So here's 3 questions that you'll need to know as you start to strategize your approach to saving money. Number 1, what are you saving for? Number 2, how much do you need? And number 3, when do you need it? If you don't have those answers and everything is just kind of abstract and you're just, I'm just saving to save with no number or goal in mind, it becomes a little out of reach and abstract. There's not a specific number or checkpoint or strategy along the way. It's going to make it really challenging, so really make sure you know your numbers. This is where budgeting can become very helpful. So let's take an example. Let's say you're trying to save $8,000 in a year and a half for a used car purchase. One way you could approach that is to break that down into a monthly savings goal. So if you take $8,000 divided by 18 months, you would need to save $445 per month. Now, that number probably feels out of reach, impossible, overwhelming, and so on. However, at least there's a number there, right? It's concrete, it's objective, and you know exactly what it would take and on what time horizon to achieve your goal. So let's continue that example and start to look at our budgets and say, okay, how can I start to trim, right? What are some approaches or techniques I can take on to really max out my savings goal? Because for most people, saving even $100 a month feels impossible, let alone $300-$400 or more. Here's some tips to consider that might help you lower your monthly expenses, thereby freeing up some cash that you can put into a savings goal. When you take a look at your expenses, you might try to refinance your insurance. You could lower your phone plan, perhaps negotiate your internet down, right? Any type of monthly bill or subscription that you basically need, it wouldn't hurt to ask the vendor, what are my options to save here? They're of course going to want to keep you as a customer, so they should make it enticing for you to maybe pay a little less month over month as long as they keep your business. Because keep in mind, even a few dollars, right, 40, 50, that'll add up, especially when you can continue to seek out other methods of saving month over month. Another way you can decrease your expenses every month is to limit things like eating out, convenience spending, that impulse Amazon delivery order. I know we all do it. We're all probably guilty of that. But knowing that you have the savings goal in mind, hopefully that'll cause you to ask yourself before you hit that pay button, do I need this? How vital is this to my daily life? Especially knowing that every purchase you make, especially if it's not fully necessary, takes away from or slows your savings goal because, of course, any money you're putting towards variable and perhaps frivolous or unnecessary spending is undermining or slowing your savings rate, and you're going to get to your goal a little later with each other expense that you make. Another option you could have is trying to increase your income by things like overtime, side gigs, other jobs. They don't have to be permanent in your working life, but it will accelerate the speed at which you get to your savings goal for whatever you're saving up for, as well as increasing your margin between your income, or what you're bringing in every month, and your expenses, what's going out every month. Some other information to keep in mind: please avoid debt at all costs. If, for example, you finance a car because you need it now, just remember that the interest that you're paying is just a fee to borrow money, which keeps you in that payment cycle, and it slows down any possible savings goals because every month your income is tied up in payments and it becomes really hard to break out of that. So please avoid debt when saving for a short or long-term goal. The same, of course, goes for credit cards. If you're swiping a credit card while also trying to save for something like a car or a down payment on a home, anything like that, basically what you're doing is pouring water into a bucket that has holes in it. It's just, again, a vicious cycle. There's no way you'll ever fill that bucket so that you can perhaps move to another bucket to fill. So again, please avoid debt at any phase of your wealth building journey. Again, there are some exceptions in that for things like mortgages and whatnot. And just keep in mind, patience is cheaper than interest. By you waiting and not needing something now in this moment, particularly something luxurious or unnecessary, you will save so much more money by being patient and waiting to make a purchase in cash rather than taking debt out, whether it's financing a car or a credit card. The next thing I just wanted to touch on as it relates to saving money, this is kind of a straightforward concept, I hope, but where should you keep the money? If your goal is within 3 years or thereabouts or less, where you don't necessarily want your money to be subject to market swings, meaning like investing it in a stock market, I would just put it in a high yield savings account or a money market account that's very liquid, meaning you can get to it very easily, so that if the market swings very far down, your money isn't really affected, and you also don't have to worry about gains and losses. You're just keeping it in cash or like cash investments. That said, if your time horizon is more than 3 years, then you might want to look into other investment vehicles, whether it's an exchange traded fund, a mutual fund, etc. Keep in mind when you buy and sell those, there are tax implications, particularly if you sell with a gain. That's a topic for a different video, but for purposes of this, if your savings goal is more long-term, such as education for your children, retirement for yourself, that's when you're going to want to invest your money into the market, because you don't really have to worry about where the market is for the next 10, 20, 30 years or more. So again, just because you're on a tight budget, you feel like you can't get ahead, I totally get it. Please don't feel discouraged. It is doable. It's just a matter of making some sacrifices, cutting some expenses, maybe adding some side hustles so that you can start to create your margin, start to get ahead, pay off debts, and really be in command of your budget month over month. It also comes down to really knowing your numbers, making sure you're doing a budget, seeing where you can reduce your expenses, increase your income, and then start to build that savings. So again, a couple takeaways as it relates to savings. Know your numbers, both your income and your expenses. Determine where you can cut expenses and increase income. That'll free up some more money to accelerate the savings goal that you're aiming for. And then you'll have that behavior developed for any other savings goals you may have, right? Maybe you're saving for a car right now. You set out your numbers, you know what you need to save and by when. So you have that plan of attack as to how to do so. Once that's done, then you can do the same thing for perhaps a home down payment. For what it's worth, there's nothing that would prohibit anybody from not having two savings goals at the same time, such as a car and a home. It's just going to take that much more sacrifice to put money aside for both of those goals. I hope that this information was somewhat motivating for you. I know there's that feeling of it's impossible to get ahead, I don't make enough, I have no money left at the end of the month. But hopefully some of the tips and strategies that I covered here in this video will be somewhat helpful for you. As always, let me know in the comments if there's anything I can clarify more thoroughly or what other elements of savings I may have missed. I'd be happy to address them in the comments or in a future video. But if you've made it to this point, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.